It is a great day to be alive, and I am so thankful for God, Jesus Christ, who lives in us. Today's video is titled 2-in-1, BTC Eiffel Tower Trading Pattern and the Eiffel Tower Dream. Before we get started, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing that I'm sharing financial advice. I'm simply sharing dreams, visions, and interpretations that I feel God has given me as it relates to crypto. Now, let's get into the video. So for a while now, one of the things that I have shared in the connection between Bitcoin and the S&P 500 ETF, what we know to be AI stocks, or the Mag 7, one of the connections that I share is price movement. Bitcoin normally mirrors the price movement of these AI or Mag 7 stocks. This S&P 500 ETF has its connections to my Eiffel Tower Dream, correlating with the price of 667. Now, if you've seen my previous video, you've seen this slide already, but if you have not, I have 3 candles here representing the 3 drops that I feel that is going to take place with the markets as it relates to this Eiffel Tower Dream and what I saw. Although it was one big candle, I feel that we are in a season where we're going to see the completion of this fall. The first red candle came on September 22nd when the S&P 500 ETF hit 667. Soon after, that same day, we saw a crypto sell-off. That represents our first candle. Our second candle has to do with the flash crash that took place on October 10th. We saw a huge drop in the price of Bitcoin. This flash crash moved the price of Bitcoin down to roughly 102,000 after it had his peak of 126,000 about 3 or 4 days prior to. So after having the Eiffel Tower Dream and doing my research, the connections that I shared is that BTC is connected to the Mag 7. Mag 7 connect to AI stocks, and AI stocks are connected to the S&P 500 ETF. And that is the connection that is made between Bitcoin and this S&P 500 ETF that I saw in this Eiffel Tower Dream. But wait, there was another connection. I also shared that not only are these AI stocks connected to crypto because of Bitcoin and how it mirrors the movement of this S&P 500, but I also shared the date of September 22nd being important. It's important because this ETF hit 667 on that day, but it's also used as a bridge date to show how these stocks crossed over to crypto on this particular day or on this same day. And I shared Coinbase and how Coinbase is allowing you to trade what they call the Mag 7. And so now this bridges the movement of the stocks over into crypto, connecting these AI stocks to crypto, not only because of Bitcoin, but now because you can trade them on a crypto platform, trade them in a particular way. So this is what's new. We come to the 2-in-1 part. Looking at this Eiffel Tower, are we looking at 2-in-1? And what I mean by this is 667, the S&P 500 on September 22nd. That created our first candle drop because of the crypto liquidations that we saw on that day. This brings us to October 5th through the 6th when Bitcoin hit its all-time high, $126,000. So now I'm examining both of these in the same way. These are peak prices that, one, God has given me as far as the S&P 500 for whatever reason. And then for sure, this is the peak height naturally for what we saw on October 5th through the 6th for Bitcoin. Because both of these sides, the stock side and this crypto side, comes together based on research, this is moving me to take a look at Bitcoin and the S&P 500, this given peak price and this actual peak price. And so this moves us from October the 5th through the 6th, where we saw that Bitcoin at a price of 126,000, and it brings us now to October the 10th. On October the 10th, that is when we saw the huge flash crash and Bitcoin drop, as well as the crypto market as a whole. So that is our first candle, that is our second candle, and now we're waiting for the third candle. And because of this Bitcoin Eiffel Tower connection, I have come to ask myself the question, and something to pray about. God, is Bitcoin in an Eiffel Tower trading pattern? There is a such thing as an Eiffel Tower trading pattern. So Bitcoin hit its peak of $126,000. Bitcoin experienced a flash crash, almost a $24,000 drop, if you're dating back from the day that it hit its peak. And based on what I feel God has given me, as far as September 22nd also being the start of the fall season, the actual fall season, is that symbolic of the start of an actual fall, meaning season over a period of days, not just one event. I shared that also in a previous video. So looking at this peak, looking at this flash crash, seeing Bitcoin's connection to this Eiffel Tower based on research and the connections to the S&P 500 ETF, was this the start of the Eiffel Tower pattern for Bitcoin? Now, the Eiffel Tower pattern is something that is described as a sharp parabolic price rise followed by an equal sharp collapse. And the chart shape that it makes resembles the Eiffel Tower. So based on the price movement up to 126, doing research, it shows that it appears fairly sharp relative to the earlier levels. Yes, we hit a new peak, but then comes the mirroring portion. BTC mirrors. When I saw that word being used, I thought about how BTC mirrors the S&P 500. But anyway, it goes on to say, as it goes up, it begins to decline in a mirrored way. Based on the research, it told me not yet. It goes on to say that it is possible that Bitcoin could evolve into a full Eiffel Tower structure if we see a sharp drop back towards earlier support levels, for example, 100,000 or lower. And this has to be done fairly quickly. Well, based on the price movement that we've been seeing with Bitcoin the past few days, here pointing out a drop to 98,935, I almost want to believe that this checks that box. But again, this is a question about Bitcoin. Are we looking at a 2-in-1 when it comes down to this Eiffel Tower? Are we looking at the peak of Bitcoin, using that to look side by side at the peak of 667, that number given to me in a dream, forming a timeline, how Bitcoin mirrors or follows? That didn't happen until after the S&P 500 ETF hit 667. When that happened, then we saw BTC follow and it hit its peak. With that being the case, again, this is a question. Is Bitcoin in an Eiffel Tower trading pattern? And so I do want to make mention of some things that is causing this market to come down. And it has to do with economic conditions. The AI, the job layoff, the Fed fastly cutting rates, meaning that something must be broken. The national banks having issues with liquidity. Then we're seeing just the Fed repo being implemented at historical records. It almost makes me wonder if this is the start of that third candle. All of these things here that we're seeing, is this causing us, the markets to fall, crypto to fall? Are we moving in now into this third candle? And here you see that I used the word historical records. That's going to take us to a new video that I have either post or will be posting, titled Historic Records and Eiffel Tower Connections. More what I feel God is revealing to me about that. And we're looking at this starting in the month of October up into present time. So please go and check out that video. Again, it's either out or it's coming out. And so that is all that I have for this video. Until the next one, God bless.